My colleagues and I at the State Chamber were thrilled to see how much excitement our Coolest Thing Made in Delaware contest stirred up. But it shouldn't be a surprise. More than 28,000 Delawareans work in the manufacturing sector, and that number is growing. Companies are making things right here in the first state that are being used around the world, even off-world too. I sat down with Dave McGonigle of Avkin and Brian Brooks of Hologic, two companies who are making a difference in healthcare, to learn more about their life-saving work, where they see the industry moving, and the importance of educating young people about the abundant and fulfilling careers available in the sector. Brian even shared a story of how his company's cancer detecting technology saved the life of one of their very own. Now that's a Delaware story you want to hear. Let's get to it. Welcome to Conversations with Kelly, where we take a deep dive into the topics at the forefront of the business community. I'm Kelly Basil, Vice President of the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm joined by Brian Brooks, Vice President of Operations for Breast and Skeletal Health Solutions at Hologic, and Dave McGonigle, Director of Operations and Manufacturing at Avkin. Thanks to you both for joining me today. Really happy to have you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for pronouncing my last name right. Not a lot of people do that.
It was impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
No one gets my name right. So I get Basile, Basil, Basile, Basil.
I understand completely. Yeah.
Before we jump into today's conversation, which is all around manufacturing, I do want to give you both a moment to just share with our guests who you are and what you do. Brian, I'll start with you.
Sure. So you already said my name and title. I often think what I get paid to do is to recruit, grow, and develop talent within our organization so that we can enable these solutions. So at Hologic, it's one of the things, it was new to me. I didn't know anything about Hologic until 3 years ago when I joined the organization. So I'm leading our global operations and supply chain network for breast and skeletal health. Our company overall, we're dedicated to developing innovative medical solutions that effectively detect, diagnose, treat health conditions that disproportionately affect women.
Mm-hmm.
So we are primarily focused on women's health, which is a sweet spot. For Hologic, we've been decades in the making, on the forefront of the diagnostic care, transforming early detection, preventative care with innovations like the world's first 3D mammography system. Advanced AI for cancer detection is something that's on the forefront that we're leading with, and also minimally invasive surgical solutions. So we do everything from screening to treatment. Our technology improves cancer detection, enhances workflow, reduces facility costs, and ultimately improves patient outcomes. We operate with this purpose, passion, and promise philosophy. So for us, our purpose is to enable healthier lives everywhere, every day. Our passion is to become global champions for women's health. And then our promise is deliver the science of sure. And that's for me. So we do it each and every day. And our 3-dimension system that we won the Coolest Thing Made in Delaware for, it helps to save nearly 30,000 women's lives every single year. And that's
amazing.
Something. Yeah, I mean, just the impact that we have, it makes getting up and going to work very easy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but fun fact, one of your employees had been detected like right before you won the award, and her life was...
It was, Gina, our admin for the site. So she had actually... the day that we won the award, she rang the bell. So it was her last treatment that she had went through for breast cancer. And she had an early detection on a 3D system produced by Hologic. So our 3-dimension system, it just brought like a whole new meaning to this as, she's the face you see when you walk into our facility. So everyone knows her, everyone knows what she was going through. I mean, it was serendipitous of the timing of when she wrapped up her treatment, when we won the award. I literally brought that award back and just plopped it right on her desk.
I love
it was
that.
awesome. It was
serendipitous is a good way to summarize that.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, Brian. I'm Dave McGonigle. I am the Director of Operations and Manufacturing at Avkin. My day-to-day is kind of broken up into just seeing what we can do to make sure that our operation is efficient, moving forward to kind of align with our company goals. As well as just kind of fostering the community of manufacturing. One thing that you have to understand about Avkin is that we're from Delaware. The idea was founded through the University of Delaware.
Oh.
Our CEO, Amy Copperthwaite, she was an ER nurse actually at Christiana Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So pretty much our whole staff is, kind of coming from Delaware and started from. So our operation is continuing to grow from Delaware and grow up. We started, when I first came on, it was 7 people. I started in a little apartment building that we actually had this idea from. And, the original concept there for our products was, when you think about healthcare, there's really the task that you're going to be doing, right? So like, putting a needle through somebody's arm, right? Or, but there's also the emotional side. the actual people side of, negotiating with healthcare.
Mhm.
And when our CEO was in the ER, what she really noticed is that new nurses coming through, that they knew the task all through, their schooling and studies, right? But what they really were not confident was with the emotional side, with the
Mhm.
empathetic side. So you would get to, the patient's bedside and they're not doing well. They're obviously, nobody in the hospital wants to be there. So when they got to that bedside, it was really important for her to know that, hey, you had somebody that's not only equipped to be able to do the skill and do it, accurately, but that it can also, connect with you on that emotional side too. So we started developing products that would try to, branch that realm of how to get healthcare professionals more aligned with, not only the task side, which our products do, but the empathetic side. So all of our products are paired with what we call a standardized patient. And basically, when you wear our product, you can do the task on the product itself, but
Mhm.
the standardized patient is what is, giving the actual emotional side. So think about this. A lot of people are scared of needles, right? Right. So when you put it into a plastic dummy, it's not going to give you the whole wincing, right? But when you have it, our overlay on a standardized patient, it can give you all that emotional, hey, I'm about to faint, or hey, this is really scary, and practice that healthcare professional for being able to, deal with that. And then think about our most recent product, the AvBirth device, which we were in the coolest things of Delaware for.
Mhm.
That's an entire experience in itself. That's, almost nothing like it. You guys are parents, so but the biggest thing with that is that when we do simulations of the device working, again, it's an overlay of a full belly, late stages ready to have a baby. You have that patient going through the screaming, going through the breathing motions, and it really gives a full experience of what it's supposed to be, because you have the fluids, you have the baby, you have the actual delivery process, but you have mom in the bed too. And, and we pair it with dad sometimes right next to her. So you can see it's like, it's really giving the nurses or future healthcare providers the experience to be able to not only do that task, but really the people side is what we focus on.
It's really creative and important work. To give a personal story, I had to go through IVF for my daughter, and I remember coming home and about to start the whole process and being like, I cannot believe they sent me home with all of these needles and they're just trusting me to like do it.
Yeah.
So it's really great to hear that you're designing products
Yeah.
that help people feel prepared
Yeah.
and make patients feel comfortable.
Well, it's not even really just for for institutions. We had this one gentleman, I think it was a couple years ago, that somebody in his family had recently gone through a tracheostomy, which, if you don't know it, they basically have a tube inserted right through,
Mhm.
right above their collarbone there. And there was something where he reached out to us. He was like, "Hey, I have to, replace this or do, cleaning of maintenance of it. And, can your company help me out with trying to learn that?" And that was something where we were able to, talk with him, go through the device with him, so he could help with his family member. So it's not only just institution; it can also be really impactful for people's lives.
It's very
Very
cool. And speaking of cool, you both mentioned that you had products in our inaugural Coolest Thing Made in Delaware contest, which ran earlier this year, and we plan to, do it again in years to come. But the whole goal of the Coolest Thing Made in Delaware contest was to share with the public all of the creative and innovative things that are being made here in Delaware by Delawareans, and also change public opinion on manufacturing. I think there's a stigma around it. People think dirty factory, but it's what you both just explained. It's clearly very high tech and innovative. So we're trying to change that story for manufacturers as a whole. So I'd be curious to hear, what did you think about the contest and why did you both put your name in the hat?
Sure. You want me to start
Yeah,
there?
fire away.
Go for it, Dave.
Yeah, so I mean, really for us, we actually Nate right here, he was the one that was able to go through and find the contest for us, and we thought it was a really good idea as far as just something new for our company. We're a niche market overall. When you ask people on the street, they don't really know you're a healthcare simulation device. So for us, it was just like really neat to be able to be put into the same category as people like DuPont, AstraZeneca, Hologic, the people that you would know are common names.
household names.
Dogfish Head was on there,
Correct. Yeah.
So, being in that mix was really interesting and was a great publicity for us to be just getting our name out there. And then, something that I think what we're really trying to hope for is just that, again, our products, aren't just for institutions. They really are helping people
Mhm.
overall. So being able to spread the message that like, hey, this is what we think is the better way of healthcare right now. And being able to spread that as a message across the state of Delaware was really something significant as we start to go from, 32. Oh, wow. Now we're top 16. What? Top 8. And that's where we finished out. We weren't as lucky as Brian over here. But,
You can enter again next year.
yeah, we can enter again next year. Okay. But as we start to go
Competition
through
gets
that,
easier next year, from what I learned. We can't resubmit, so
Okay.
you don't have to dethrone us.
maybe we can
Yeah.
partner then. But yeah, it was really interesting as we started to get up there, just how the conversation changed, where it was that energy that we felt at the competition. So we were really happy with our involvement.
That's exciting. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I didn't know what to expect. It was something we had recently joined the Chamber of Commerce for the state, so we had Paul Freeberry and Michelle Lonsdale, two of our associates, kind of brought it to me. They had seen the email before I did, and immediately we're like, well, all right, this is awesome. Let's do it. And there's two things that we wanted to get out of it. First and foremost, for us, it was really an opportunity for us to showcase like the incredible work that all of our associates do each and
Mhm.
every day. There's like our site in Newark is really exploding, and there's a lot of folks who've been there for a long time who don't really get the recognition for the good work that they're doing. So it was an opportunity for them to really showcase the pride that they have in the product that we make and the impact that it has. So that was first and foremost. But it was also an opportunity to add more talent. I mean, candidly, to get Hologic's name out there. You talk about like the size of your organization compared. Hologic's a $5 billion medical device firm. I worked 15 plus years, 10 minutes away from Hologic. Didn't even know Hologic existed until I got a call from a recruiter one day, and I was like, all right, wow. So it was definitely an opportunity to, like, one, take pride, and two, help us to recruit. We're adding over 225 jobs to our facility. We blew it out at $20 million plus investment to really create this future headquarters for our breast health solutions. And it was just an opportunity for us to get the name out there in Delaware, recruiting pitch to try to hire some of these folks. But I learned so much about other cool manufacturing that takes place in the state that I had zero clue.
Yeah, I totally agree, because it was one of those things where you're looking down the list and you're like, I didn't even know that was like a Delaware thing. You know, it's like the astronaut suit was one of them. I was like, we do that in Dover? I have no idea. But yeah, it was super cool to see like, hey, this actually is like a Delaware thing. And I didn't even know I'm 10 minutes down the road from this company that's like doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an opportunity that I think we haven't yet leveraged it, but even just to connect with those people who went through it, to do like facility tours. What do you do best? Well, how can we learn from you? There's so much that can come of this. So incredible idea that you brought to the state. So thank you for that.
Of course. I mean, the amount of times that me and my team even said, I didn't know that was made here. And, we work with thousands and thousands of people and businesses every day, every industry up and down the state. And both of your companies I had never heard of. And so I'm thankful for the competition, because now I can have you both here at the table to talk about it. And, specifically being around women's health, I think is very interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So, do you think it changed? I mean, it was just the first year, right? So we've got more years to go, but do you think that this has or is changing, people's opinion of what manufacturing is and can be, especially from a career standpoint?
I mean, it opened my eyes for sure. Just knowing what's happening in our own state, right in our own backyard. And it's something to your point of like the spacesuits and space habitats. And then you look at like the M. Davis biogas solutions, these things it's like beer distilleries, Italian water ice. Like there's so much that's happening there. So it definitely opened my eyes to what's happening. I would say undoubtedly, yeah, but it's a start. I think there's so much more that we can do to capitalize upon that as we continue to grow manufacturing in Delaware.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's a start. And, the one thing you said about the stigma to it, I think a lot of people, especially in the younger generation, they have this idea that manufacturing is like the old Ford building a car, one bolt at a time, one door panel at a time. And it's really changed. And you can see that with the list and with the competition. It's not just, automobiles, planes, trains, and cars. It's everything. It can be from as simple as like we were saying, distilleries or food product to, as complex as like mammogram machines. And, it's really unique to be able to have an experience where we can put that out, not only from, the general public's perspective, but like Brian was saying, from a business relationship perspective. There were so many people that I met personally at Del Tech down in Dover when they were doing the announcement ceremony. It's just like, hey, it's cool to be talking with you. I didn't know you were right down the street. Let's do something together. Which I think is a super important thing when we think about Delaware and their, larger position in the nation of what's important we got to stay together. We got to know who's around us, and we can grow that way very successfully.
It does give you a sense of pride in
Yeah.
the first state. And don't quote me on this number. It's roughly around here, but there's around 600 different manufacturers in our tiny little state, which is pretty incredible. And that number's actually growing. And that kind of speaks, I think, to a larger conversation of reshoring that the United States is experiencing. But what are you guys seeing with this whole return of manufacturing to the U.S. and Delaware specifically?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for us is that we're trying to keep our supply chain as local as possible. We're really proud of the fact that not only were we started in Delaware, most of our employees are in Delaware. Most of our supply chain that we have is within about an hour radius of where we're located. I would say about 80% of all of our custom stuff that we're putting inside of our product is within
that on
an hour.
principle, or is that also a smart business decision?
I think it's both. I think you do have to represent your local economy in a way. I think that's, especially for a starting business, it's more affordable to do it that way. In a lot of instances, if you can build that relationship with a company that's right down the street, you can save not only on the logistics end, but you can save on the aspect of like, hey, I know you, I know what kind of work that you're doing. I can visit your shop and come in if we have problems. You can't get that for a company that is on a different time zone, halfway across the world. You're never going to line up through emails if you're really having problems. So I think reshoring has really brought more opportunity, more partnerships for us as a company that's trying to grow and trying to make those partnerships. So having them back and then having Delaware as a strong force inside of that is super important, because like I said, it's really easy for us to visit somebody that's in our backyard. It's a lot better doing business that way, that we found. So we're really happy that it is coming back over and that there's a force to, and that we are somebody that can kind of say, hey, come to us. We're going to be doing business with you. We want to do business. We want to do business with you. So I really like it so far.
Yeah, I mean, different scale of operation, but Hologic primarily manufactures in the U.S. as well.
Okay.
So it's something that we operate, or we have locations in 36 countries, but all of our manufacturing, by and large, except for a larger operation we have in Costa Rica making a lot of disposable products, happens in the U.S. So that's outside of Boston, in Marlborough, Massachusetts, in San Diego, in Newark, Delaware. So the bulk of our manufacturing takes place there. A lot of our suppliers are local, but we also have some global suppliers as well. So for us, the reshoring isn't so much manufacturing, but it's the supplier base. And we learned that as we went through the whole chip crisis. Really, impacted our business substantially, to the fact that, we weren't able to get new devices out to hospitals and patients who were relying upon us. So we tried to leverage our weight and partner with other med devices. Like, from that perspective, we learned under like 2% of all chips utilized go to med device, whereas you're competing with large auto industries and all this stuff. So we were trying to work with the White House and the whole CHIPS Act to help and get that like reshoring of actually making chips in the U.S. So we control the allocation of those chips. So it was not so much our manufacturing, but our supplier base overall, and trying to shift that to be more U.S. focused is where we were spending our efforts.
Well, and you mentioned, Brian, that you have locations in 36 countries, you said. Why are you expanding in Delaware? You mentioned you're adding 200 jobs.
For us, it's a couple of different reasons for why Delaware. For one, I would say it's something that just access. You look at it being in the Northeast. I mean, when we made the decision, and it's public at this point, like, we're closing a manufacturing facility in Danbury, Connecticut, and transferring all of that into our Newark facility. So that's the project code name is Project Northeast. We wanted to be here, close to the proximity, or close to a lot of teaching institutions, all world-class educational systems that you have, world-class hospital system, key opinion leaders. That's great from just helping as we move our business forward. But outside of that, you just look at, like, we're a global business, so access to shipping ports and things of that nature. We are ideally located for global commerce. So those are the key reasons for us. I mean, there's obviously tax benefits and things of doing business in the state, but logistically, it makes a lot of sense for us as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think when you consider geographically Delaware's position, I mean, obviously 95 is the, I think, busiest highway in the entire United States. And then you think about on a global scale, the eastern border of the United States is the world's superhighway, and then when you think about our proximity to local cities, you have Philadelphia, that's, just a quick ride over. You have Pittsburgh, you have Baltimore, you have New York, you have Newark, New Jersey. You have all these major ports, shipping lanes, and processes to be able to get it through. plus a good rail network. One of the rail networks going all the way
Definitely.
up and down the eastern coast here. So, it's really, when you think about Delaware and their position on a global scale, you got to think they're smack dab and really the busiest part of the entire world.
And Dave, you mentioned that your company was kind of born out of the University of Delaware.
Yeah.
So, you're a born and raised Delaware company. But did Delaware offer the resources to help you kind of establish and grow?
Yeah, I mean, Delaware really made it capable, I would say. One thing that you have to consider, if we were in Texas, Texas is so big. We actually, in Delaware, we had, Senator Coombs come in and check in on our business. We have Governor Carney. We had Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Hall on, I think her name is. She come, like, there's so many times. Bethany. I'm sorry, Bethany
You're
Hall
good.
on. There's so many different opportunities just to be seen in Delaware. Then when you partner with people like Delaware Manufacturing Extension Partnership, they helped us out so much. Coming from the University of Delaware, saying that, hey, we want to try to make this thing grow. We want to do the best practices that we can while we're early, because it's harder while we're growing. So myself and almost every single employee of Avkin has gone through multiple courses with the DMAP organization.
That's really good to hear.
To be able to just get that next step, because really, when you're starting a business, what we found is that there's no real game plan. You're just trying to see what you can do to make things work. See, all right, I'm gonna test this. All right, that wasn't the right move. Let's try this. And the state of Delaware has really helped giving resources for us to say, all right, here's a roadmap that you can follow, whether that's through DMAP or the Small Business Bureau. We've had a lot of resources locally that we're able to say, hey, this is a good idea. This is something that you should be looking towards, or you can grow this way. And that's helped tremendously.
Well, flip the script. What could you use to help your companies grow even more and thrive here? What do we lack?
I wouldn't say it's what we lack so much, but as what we've seen as we've tried to grow and expand our business here, and we have future expansion plans here.
Yeah.
Delaware is such a small community in a lot of ways. And it's like, I'm not a Delaware guy. I grew up in Jersey. So it's like coming here and the first question is, what high school did you go to?
Do you struggle with like beach versus shore?
Oh, it's definitely the shore. Come on now. Thank you. It's totally the shore. No, but it's like first question, where'd you go to high school?
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Why does that matter?
And now you're labeled a transplant.
Yes, exactly. But it's a reflection of how we operate as time. So for us, like, we're a global organization. So a lot of times we say, okay, when we're doing expansion projects, this is the firms that we're going to utilize to guide the projects, to PM the projects and whatnot. And sometimes we're not as receptive to out-of-state contractors in the state of Delaware. So that's kind of slowed some things down with respect to people who aren't familiar with how the state operates. We don't often do a great job of explaining the process and how things work to make it as smooth as possible. So that's an opportunity that I would say we want to grow. All the growth isn't going to come organically from within the state of Delaware. So be open to people coming in and wanting to invest money from out of the state in our state here. I think that would go a long way to helping to shift just how we operate.
Yeah, you could shave a couple minutes off my commute. I think that would really help me and all my employees. But no, I think, to be honest with you, I really think it's about, the early parts of education, in my opinion. I think especially as a small company, what we're trying to do is trying to hire the right talent for ourselves. And I think a lot of people coming out of, whether it's high school or college, again, they don't really have a great idea of what manufacturing is or what they can do to it. And I know that the state's trying to lean into that direction, with like Del Tech is a huge opportunity for a lot of people to go into not only the workforce, but the manufacturing workforce. But really kind of getting into that, early on stage in high school when people are really making the decisions for their lives. So going from there and being like, hey, this is an opportunity, a career path that mom and dad can say yes to. Or that, hey, I can actually have a well-educated workforce that I can pull from for as we continue to grow. It's ever necessary.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you're saying there, Dave. That's, we're learning. We definitely partner with Del Tech and whatnot, but we've actually started partnering with the high schools. And we have co-op students who are coming to us, and we've hired 2 of them on full time now. But it's like, let's get these high school students as part of their education coming, and they're working part-time days with us, learning our processes. And it's like, great, go back and share that. And what I want to do is actually try to help. Like, I've done this with my alma mater from like getting as part of their curriculum advisory board. It's like manufacturers working with these high schools. Like these are the skills that we need students coming out of high school with in order to step in and be effective from day one. I think that's something that we can absolutely help and kind of guide the state and the educational system on.
Yeah. I was actually a co-op kid myself from Delcastle.
Cool.
That's great.
Here in Delaware. And, one of the big things that helped with that is really it better set me up so much more professionally, with my responsibility as a young man as well, and maturity. So, going into that and being ready through the things I learned in a VOTEC school where they're saying, hey, not all of you necessarily are going to go to college, but you're all going to have a job in the future. And we're going to try to help you get prepared. We're going to give you the skills and try to give you the hands-on experience in a way that's still safe and can contribute to your, educational environment. So yeah, definitely partnering with technical schools or even at, high school level as a super great opportunity that the state can take on to really bolster the workforce there.
I'm from Ohio originally, and VOTEC schools, I think.
Transplant, yes.
Yeah, I'm a transplant. But I always say that I wish that VOTEC schools were an option for me growing up. I absolutely would have taken that path. Not that I regret the path I took at all. I went to the University of Delaware and here I am. But VOTEC schools are just absolutely amazing. And our Delaware Manufacturing Board, which is our manufacturing affiliate here at the Chamber, very passionate about what you both just talked about. They partner with Junior Achievement. I'm blanking on what that town is called, JA Biztown. They built a manufacturing booth there so that all of our manufacturing members can have a turn with educating the kids as they go through that program. They partner a lot with the Delaware Pathways program. We also do another program here at the Chamber under our workforce development arm, the partnership, but it's called Delaware Principal for a Day. And that's a lot more, getting into the schools, trying to be, more integrated, working with curriculum, creating partnerships. So we do a lot of stuff like that to try to help with it. And long-term goal of Coolest Things is to somehow get that to the kids so that they can see all of the cool things that are being made here. Haven't quite figured it out yet. So ideas are welcome.
Do the kids get to vote? We should send it out.
That's what we're trying to figure out, how to get the kids excited about it and be a part of it.
Anymore. I'm too old to be cool. So it's
I'm
like,
not
what
cool
are the high school kids saying? It's cool these days.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, definitely, because even just as a person, outside the business perspective, seeing the things in there made me excited as a Delawarean. So I think if you start to get it in front of kids, you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Maybe, I want to know.
Yeah,
what
maybe I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Speaking for both of your companies, what kinds of what sort of skill sets are you looking for when you're hiring?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for us, just to give you some perspective in myself, I was actually the first technician inside of our company. I was the first one that they said, hey, we actually need somebody to build these products. So I came right out of high school. I mean, you could say as far as skill sets, I had very little. I came from a manufacturing background. My father was a machinist. And so I had kind of like, yeah, I can do this mentality. But for us, it was something where we took the chance, and really that kind of echoes even to today. We are a company that does pretty much everything in-house. We do our own research and development. We do our own manufacturing. We do our own administration, marketing. So really, as far as opportunity, there's opportunity at the lowest levels and at the highest levels. And again, I starting as a technician, really what we're looking for is just somebody that's creative, that's responsible, and willing to innovate and grow with the company. And if you have those things, you're going to be successful. It doesn't necessarily matter to us per se your educational background or what you learned. We'll teach you those things.
Yeah, you'll teach the skill.
Exactly. If you're coming in and you're the right culture and you're the kind of person that says, hey, I want to be a part of this, we're going to take you. And that's really been our mission the whole time. A big thing that I say when I'm hiring new people is saying we invest in people who invest in us. So for us, we hired the whole range, from right out of high school or still in high school all the way up to, we have some people with masters and, going on to their next levels of education as well.
Well, Brian, I want to give you a chance to speak too, but I'm curious, do you ever find people that are making a career change that maybe translates into manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, we've had lots of people come through the company and say, hey, I don't quite know what I want to do yet. And, the biggest thing for us just is like, all right, let's work it out. I think we can still find, area where we both improve each other. So there's some people that came into our manufacturing and said, hey, I want to do marketing. It just turns out that our marketing department's growing right now. Why don't I get you in there? We had actually one technician of mine that was coming through still in high school, and I don't know what I want to do with my life, but he saw our research and development department and the cool products that we were making through, which I believe at the time was an av wound or a wound care simulator. He was like, you know what, this is so awesome. I think I want to go into like engineering design work. And so then he's like, all right, I'm going to take this next year. I'm going to get ready for, entering into college and then go through. And we actually were able to give him an opportunity inside of a research and development department. So yeah, we have come across people that are like, in transition of something. And oftentimes we've been able to find them a spot. If we can't, like I said, that's the really important thing about local connections. You say, hey, you want to apply with me right here. Maybe I don't have a spot for you right now, but I know a list of companies that are looking for people that need somebody exactly like you.
Yes.
And let's put you there. Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, very similar. We're looking across the whole gamut of entry level, fresh out of school. We'll teach what you need to know all the way through. With our expansions, we need a lot of technical support. So we're hiring all the way up to like PhD scientists to come in and help us as we grow next level. As it relates to the manufacturing aspect of it, though, when we're looking for talent, I'd say, we're looking for three key things. It's someone who's going to be curious, driven, and gritty. It's like, in manufacturing, every day is an adventure, right? We strive for continuous improvement every day, but running operations, there's always something a hurdle or an obstacle you're going to have to overcome. And you can't teach that mentality. It's like people coming in. So that's what I love about these co-ops that are coming into our system is like, they get to see what this is like. And like, am I actually built for this? How do I learn and grow from here? But our processes are so specialized. It's like, we'll take someone with the right attitude and we'll teach you everything you need to know. If we're hiring higher level technicians and they know how to like electrically troubleshoot or solder, wire harness, things of that nature, that's spectacular. But like one of our most successful employees, she was working at a bakery and she was like, I just needed to change this. Lifestyle isn't working for me. She's come in, she's crushed it. She's invested in us, so we've invested in her. And it's like just seeing her grow through the organization with the tools we have in place. It's incredible. So for me, it's.
Do you offer internal training programs, or do you kind of send them out for some of the skills that they might need?
We do a little bit of both. And honestly, it's an opportunity for us to get better as we scale our business as well. And like working with the manufacturing systems that we have here in Delaware, it's like we need to leverage that more to create Hologic specific curriculum for what we do, but we have a pretty solid training program that we have in place with dedicated trainers through our processes. But we also work externally. One of my managers just went through a program with the manufacturing enterprise system, and it was wonderful for him. New manager learning, partnering with other new managers in the in manufacturing organizations. What are the challenges? Just forming his own network of people to connect with. It's you have to do both. I think if you only do it internally, you're so introspective that you don't know what's going on around the world. And if you only do it external, it's like, how does this connect back into who we are as an organization? What do we need as we move forward? So it's got to be both.
I could keep talking with you two all day, but I do have to wrap it up.
No problem.
So sad.
I'm going to transition to our Convo Connection segment.
Oh, yeah.
I gave you both a warning before we started to think about who you wanted to give a shout out to, asking that it's Delaware centric. Dave, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I would definitely give a shout out to our friends at the Delaware Manufacturing Extension Partnership. It's not just because they helped us with the coolest things in Delaware thing. It was really because they were there for us since day one. I've taken probably 40 classes with them so far. And we've brought, like I said, every member of our team through the program. They're just such a helpful and useful program to have, and the people there are amazing to work with. So like Rustin Stoops, I believe, is the head of their program there. We really have a relationship even outside of just saying, hey, we want to get you inside the company. They're really interested in your success, and they're really interested in making sure that they can say, hey, you're in Delaware and you're going to succeed because we can do this together. And I would 100% give DMAP a shout out.
That's a very good one, and they're a great partner of ours. So, Brian.
Yeah, I'm hoping next time we get together and do this, that's who I can thank. We have a lot of opportunity to leverage them as well as we grow. I'd say some internal and external partners. So just as we're growing and scaling so much, I've got to absolutely give shout out to our internal Hologic talent and acquisition team. Just the amount of interviewing and recruiting and training that we're going through is just immense, adding 200 jobs in such a short period of time. So definitely them. Our facilities team, Jeff and Paul, those guys are rock stars for 3 straight years. Have been nothing but construction and putting out fires each and every day. But I actually asked them of who is it that's been most impactful on our project as we've significantly expanded. And they wanted me to give a shout out to ID Griffith, specifically our PM there. Chuck Egan has been instrumental in the success of our program, and Preferred Electric, our project foreman there, Dan Edgar, his insight and his willingness to partner with us and with all of the other partners and contractors that we're working with to resolve problems has been absolutely incredible. Which brings me to the third, is the Newcastle County License and Inspections Board. We have had fits and starts and back and forth, and they've worked with us every step of the way to make sure that we're getting our certificate of occupancies as soon as possible. So it's been really,
That's great.
those three organizations have been incredible to work with.
My shout out, Brian, I think it was you who mentioned them earlier, but I'm going to throw a little love to M. Davis and Sons. Coolest thing made in Delaware contest. We had a vision for what we wanted the trophy to look like, and we had no idea where to go to get it. And M. Davis, they helped us make the vision a reality, and so they produced our trophy. So I will throw some love towards them.
It is pretty cool. It's a conversation starter when people come in that's sitting in our lobby. So
yeah, for those of you who don't know what it looks like, it's the shape of Delaware, and there are gears for each of the counties. So it's pretty cool. With that, if anyone wants to get in touch with either of you, how can they get a hold of you, Dave?
Yeah, so you can obviously go to avkin.com. We have our resources page and contact page. You can go through there. Specifically, if you need to reach out to me about anything manufacturing, hit me at my email, which is also listed on avkin.com. But yeah, definitely those two.
Great. Brian?
Yeah, similar for me, go on our Hologic page. You're not going to get directly to me, but definitely my LinkedIn page personally. I get a lot fewer messages on LinkedIn than email, so I would say that's probably
that's the secret.
Yeah,
that's how to get him to see your message.
Either that or Gina is she's the one. She'll get you to me if needed. But I would say just hit me up on LinkedIn if it's something personal. If it's something Hologic related, just go through our contact section at Hologic.
Awesome. And if anyone has questions for us at the Chamber, suggestions for future episode topics, or just want to get in touch with me or any of my colleagues, you can find us at the State Chamber's website, www.dscc.com. We're also on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and officially Instagram. Thank you both so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed our conversation. I loved hearing both of what you're doing in the state. It's really impactful work. So thank you.
Yeah, glad to hear. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Conversations with Kelly, brought to you by the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce. Before we sign off, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen. I know podcast hosts say this all the time, but your support is invaluable, and it helps other listeners easily find us. I'm your host, Kelly Basil. We'll see you soon.